Rolex. Rolex owners are the human equivalent of a LinkedIn humble brag. They bought success, put it on their wrist, and now they need everyone to know about it. These are the people who casually adjust their cuff at dinner so the crown peeks out. They angle their hand on the steering wheel just right. They leave their watch on the table during meetings like it's a prop in a performance piece titled, "I made it and you're still struggling." To them, a Rolex isn't just a watch, it's a flex, a status symbol, a way to tell the world they've arrived without actually saying it out loud. But then there's the subgroups. You've got the GMT crew who genuinely need a second time zone because they travel for work. Fair enough. The submariner crowd who will never dive deeper than a hotel pool but insist it's a tool watch. The Daytona guys who aren't racing anything but will defend their 15-year waitlist like it was a war story. And the worst offenders, the brand new Submariner owners who post wrist shots with car keys in the background. We get it, Brandon. You leased a BMW and bought a Rolex on credit. Congratulations on your financial decisions. Here's the thing though, Rolex makes genuinely incredible watches. Bulletproof movements, iconic designs, holds value better than most investments. They're the gold standard for a reason, but they attract people who care more about being seen wearing one than actually appreciating what makes it special. They didn't buy a watch. They bought a conversation starter, a social signal, a way to say, "I'm doing well," without the vulnerability of actual words. Audemars Piguet. AP owners are Rolex owners who think they've evolved. They graduated from the obvious flex to the if you know flex, which somehow makes them even more insufferable. These are people who discovered that rappers wear royal oaks and decided that's their entire personality now. They'll casually drop my AP into every conversation like they're name-dropping a celebrity friend. "Yeah, I checked the time on my AP. Oh, this? It's just an AP. Incredible, Tyler. We're all very impressed by your $30,000 participation trophy. The Royal Oak is 90% of what AP owners buy because it's the only model they recognize from rap videos. They think the octagonal bezel and exposed screws make them cultured. Meanwhile, they can't name a single other AP model and definitely don't know who Gerald Genta is. They just know Travis Scott wore one, so now they have to. It's like buying Supreme because you saw it on Instagram. You're not in on the culture, you're a tourist with money. But AP does make exceptional watches. The craftsmanship is insane, the finishing is absurd, and the Royal Oak is legitimately one of the most important watch designs in history. It's just that the people who wear them are often more interested in the status than the horology. They bought the hype, not the heritage. Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe owners are a different breed. These aren't people who bought a watch. They were admitted into a club. They passed the vibe check. The salesman deemed them worthy. And now they will never, ever let you forget it. Patek owners view Rolex wearers the way Rolex wearers view Seiko owners, with pity and mild disgust. "Oh, you bought a Submariner? How accessible." To them, Patek isn't just a brand, it's a bloodline, a heritage, an unspoken agreement that they're simply better than everyone else. These are the people who quote, "You never actually own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation, like it's scripture." They genuinely believe they're custodians of horological history, not just people who spent six figures on a watch. They collect Calatravas and Nautiluses and have opinions on Guilloche dials. They attend auctions. They know what Poisson de Genève means. They're insufferable, but they've earned it. And honestly, Patek Philippe makes some of the finest watches ever created. Complications that took centuries to perfect. Finishing so immaculate it looks machine-made but isn't. Movements that are literally works of art. If you're going to be pretentious about a watch, Patek is probably the one to be pretentious about. They've been making masterpieces since 1839. The snobbery is justified. Barely. Richard Mille. Richard Mille owners didn't buy a watch. They bought a statement. And that statement is, "I have more money than sense, and I need you to know it immediately." These watches look like someone strapped a Formula One car engine to your wrist and charged you the price of an actual Formula One car for the privilege. They're enormous, bizarre, aggressively technical, and cost more than most people's houses. A Richard Mille isn't subtle. It's not supposed to be. It's a financial flex disguised as a timepiece. The brand is worn almost exclusively by athletes and celebrities, Rafael Nadal, Drake, Pharrell, every footballer with a questionable financial advisor. These people are smashing tennis balls and dunking basketballs while wearing $800,000 watches that supposedly can't break. except they do break, constantly. Richard Mille owners have a full-time relationship with their service center, but they don't care because the watch isn't about telling time. It's about telling everyone you're rich enough to not care that your watch costs more than a supercar and is somehow more fragile. That said, Richard Mille does push the boundaries of materials and engineering. Carbon TPT, titanium, sapphire cases, wild tourbillons. It's legitimately innovative. It's just that the people who wear them treat them like Lamborghinis for the wrist. Loud, expensive, impractical, and absolutely impossible to ignore. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and comment below with the watch brand stereotype that made you laugh the most. Omega. Omega owners are people who wanted a Rolex but either couldn't get one or couldn't justify the price, so they bought the next best thing and convinced themselves it's actually better. Rolex, too mainstream. I went with Omega. You know, the moon watch. James Bond wears one. Yes, we know. You've mentioned it 4 times in the last 10 minutes. Omega owners have an interesting relationship with their watches. They love them, but they're also constantly defending them against an enemy that doesn't exist. Nobody's attacking your Speedmaster, Derek. Calm down. Speedmaster owners are the worst. They will tell you their watch went to the moon before you even ask what time it is. Oh, this? It's the same watch Buzz Aldrin wore in 1969. Cool story. You're wearing it to Starbucks. The Seamaster crowd is only slightly better. At least they're honest about wanting the James Bond connection. Yeah, I bought it because of Casino Royale. What about it? Respect for the honesty. Then there's the Aquaterra people who just wanted something clean and well made without all the baggage. They're fine, we like them. But here's the truth. Omega makes fantastic watches. Seriously, coaxial movements, incredible finishing, rich history, actually innovative technology. They're not Rolex, but they don't need to be. The Speedmaster is iconic for a reason. The Seamaster is a killer dive watch. Omega owners just need to stop acting like they're in a competition nobody else entered. Breitling. Breitling owners are people who think wearing an aviation-themed watch makes them pilots. They're not pilots. They fly Delta Economy twice a year and think that qualifies them for a Navi timer. These watches are enormous, covered in dials and bezels, and complications they'll never use and somehow weigh more than a small child. Breitling owners love this. It's a tool watch, they'll say, while using it to check emails and calculate exactly 0 flight paths. The slide rule bezel, decorative, the chronograph, for timing their morning coffee, the 46mm case, for making sure everyone at the office knows they own a watch. But then there's the actual aviation enthusiasts who appreciate the heritage. Breitling has been making pilot watches since 1884. They invented the modern chronograph push piece. The Navi timer is a legitimate icon. These owners actually know what the slide rule does, or at least they claim to. They're pilots, aviation nerds, engineers, people who genuinely care about the tool watch philosophy. They're just outnumbered 10 to 1 by guys named Craig who thought it looked cool and bought it to celebrate a promotion. Breitlings are genuinely well-made watches. Big, bold, unapologetically over the top. If you like your watch chunky and covered in features you'll never touch, Breitling is your brand. Just stop pretending you're about to fly a 747. Tudor. Tudor owners are the smartest people in the watch game, and they will not shut up about it. They bought a Rolex without buying a Rolex. Same factory, same quality, half the price, 0 waitlist. They're the people who drive a Lexus instead of a BMW because they did the math and realized they're getting the same thing for less money. Tudor owners love value. They love telling people about value. Why would I pay $15,000 for a Submariner when I can get a Black Bay for $4,000? It's basically the same watch. It's not the same watch, Michael. But we respect the financial discipline. Black Bay owners are the most common Tudor fanboys. They love the vintage aesthetic, the snowflake hands, the fact that it's not trying to be a Rolex, even though it absolutely is. Pelagos owners are the serious ones. They wanted a proper tool watch without the Rolex tax, and they got it. And then there's the occasional vintage Tudor collector who knows way too much about gilt dials and pointed crown guards. They're watch nerds who figured out the cheat code. Tudor makes genuinely excellent watches. In-house movements, great design, solid build quality. and none of the pretension that comes with Rolex. The only downside? Tudor owners have somehow become more annoying than Rolex owners by constantly reminding everyone how smart they are for not buying a Rolex. We get it. You're financially responsible. Congratulations. Cartier. Cartier owners didn't come here for horology. They came here for aesthetics. To them, a watch is jewelry first, timepiece second, and mechanical accuracy is somewhere around eighth on the priority list. These are people who bought a tank because it looks elegant on Instagram, not because they care about the caliber inside. And you know what? They're not wrong. Cartier makes beautiful watches, stunning, timeless, iconic designs that have been worn by royalty, celebrities, and people with better taste than most watch nerds will ever have. But Cartier owners don't talk about power reserves or beat rates. They talk about how it matches their bracelet. Tank owners are the most common Cartier people. Elegant, understated, usually paired with a suit or a cocktail dress. Santos owners are slightly more adventurous but still care more about style than specs. Ballon Bleu owners just wanted something round and pretty and expensive looking. And then there's the occasional crash owner who bought the weirdest, most surreal watch in existence because it makes a statement at art gallery openings. None of these people can tell you what movement is inside their watch, and frankly, they don't care. But Cartier watches are genuinely special. The tank is over 100 years old and still looks modern. The Santos was one of the first pilot's watches ever made. They're fashion watches, sure, but they're fashion watches with history, pedigree, and undeniable style. If you're going to buy a watch purely for looks, you could do a lot worse than Cartier. Just don't try to impress a watch nerd with it. They'll mention the quartz movement and walk away. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another one you'll love. As always, thanks for watching.